Hi, my name is Jadin Dewith, and today we'll be discussing track throwers and their training recommendations. Track throwing comprises of 5 different events, with 2 events competing in the indoor season and 4 in the outdoor season. The goal is to launch an implement further than your competitors. Athletes may compete in multiple events, but most have a specialty. Of note, there are 2 different techniques that are commonly used for the shot put, and it is the athlete's preference as to which one they use. All types of throws utilize transverse plane movement at some point, with some having a higher reliance than others. Specifically, all throws except the javelin throw and the glide technique of the shot put are heavily transverse rotational plane movements. Lower extremity strength is important since all throws generate force through the lower extremity and transfer it up to the upper extremity and to the throwing implement. Therefore, trunk stability is also key in performance to ensure efficient force transfer and injury prevention. All throws are for maximal effort and occur within a matter of seconds. Since technique is crucial, these athletes repeat these motions an immense number of times and are subsequently at risk for overuse injuries. Furthermore, all throws call for an athlete to be on single leg support for at least part of the throw, with many athletes having to land on single leg support. So, knee and ankle stability needs should be considered. Shoulder stability is also a concern since these athletes must transfer force distally from the shoulders to the hands. Specifically, when discussing the javelin throw, this is a concern as this is an overhead movement and puts a lot of stress at the shoulder. With all of these things considered, the dynamic warm-up of these athletes should focus on plyometrics, injury prevention, and mobility. Plyometric exercises such as jumping jacks and skips should have a focus on proper movement and form. Hopefully, this focus will help the athletes develop good proprioception and a better understanding of their body and how they move. Injury prevention warm-up exercises should be included more in the pre-lift part of the warm-up and would focus on single leg landing and shoulder stability. Furthermore, general mobility is necessary for these athletes so they can move well and work through the largest range of motion possible. Specifically, shoulder, hip, and T-spine mobility should be targeted. Exercises included in the training program would focus on power, lower body strength, and rotational movements, press movements, single leg strength, and trunk stability. Before performing these movements, moving with maximal intent will be emphasized to the athletes in order to increase power adaptations, even if the exercise is not specifically power-driven. Rotational movements are key in all types of throws, given that all throws have a transverse plane motion at some point. Single leg strength will aid in injury prevention. When performing exercises such as the rear foot elevated squat, the eccentric phase should be lengthened, as this will target eccentric hip and knee flexion, which is important in single leg landing. Testing will begin with non-fatiguing anthropometric tests by collecting height and weight. We will then move on to power tests, beginning with the broad jump. The broad jump will be used since it reflects the ability to generate power horizontally as opposed to vertically. In track throwers, vertical displacement and power is not as important as the ability to generate power in the direction of the throw. 1 repetition maximum clean will be used to determine power output of the athletes. Studies have shown that 1 rep max clean is linked to performance of shot put and is a common measurement for power output. All throws demand high power output, so it is important to get a 1 rep max measurement, as this exercise and other Olympic variations will likely be used in the training program. Maximum strength of the upper body will be evaluated through the 1 repetition max bench. All the types of throws require horizontal abduction of the shoulder, which is a movement incorporated into the bench press. Although force is generated initially through the lower body, strength of the upper body is important so that the athlete is able to hold proper position and allow for efficient and powerful throws. Although the 1 repetition max bench has been found to be associated with performance in the shot put, it is not as strongly associated as the power clean and back squat. The maximum strength of the lower body will be evaluated through the 1 rep max back squat. Since force production is generated through the lower body strength is very important. The squat will also be incorporated into the training program since it is a basic movement pattern, so knowing the 1 rep max of athletes is important for prescribing intensity. Furthermore, many studies have shown that the 1 rep max squat is correlated with shot put, hammer throw, and weight throw performance. Finally, The 40-yard dash will be used since it is an explosive test that only takes a few seconds to complete. This motion is also in the frontal plane, which we see throughout many of the throws. Also, the javelin throw requires that the athlete run down a track before launching the javelin, so this test will be especially helpful for these athletes. The testing battery will be performed in the order described in order to minimize fatigue. However, since a majority of the tests are power-based, these tests will likely be split up over multiple sessions to limit fatigue accumulation and allow for true maximal power output. Thank you.